Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another tropical forecast here by Agent of the Forecast. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the Atlantic and as it's possibly waking up as we are just days away from the Atlantic hurricane season general peak, which is September 10th. We have Invest 91 and Invest 92L officially, and we are waiting possibly for Invest 93L. All came off Africa and in the MDR. We do have some decently favorable conditions, so we are monitoring the possibility that we can possibly see at least two named storms in the next coming days, just over less than a week here. We already saw two named storms here, Omar and Nana, Nana and Omar so far this September, so it would be very impressive if we can at least get Paulette and Renee in the next coming days here, and also really watching out for maybe even more possibilities in the next coming weeks here in September. So really watching as the Atlantic is really waking up. Could these pose a threat to the Western Atlantic and the Caribbean and the United States? That's the question, but too far to say. But models do pick up on these forming, so that's exactly what we're going to be looking at. Before we get into the video, please subscribe if you're new, hit the like button, and the post notification icon. But without further ado, let's get into the tropical forecast. So here's looking out at the National Hurricane Center, and as you see, we have 1, 2, 3 disturbances right here that are not now in the MDR or main development region. As you see, the highest probability is Invest 92L officially, a 40% chance within the next 48 hours, and a 80% chance within the next 5 days. So this actually has an 80% chance to become a tropical storm or tropical cyclone in the next 5 days, which is pretty high, actually, really high. Then we have disturbance number 2 here, which is Invest 91L. This has a 30% chance within the next 5 days and a 20% chance in 48 hours. So a 20% chance for 48 hours and a 30% chance in 5 days. I know it's really low and it's actually a low chance for formation, but when you have the 48-hour percentage not too far below from the 5-day, it means it could very well form pretty rather soon. I do apologize for the water bottles. And then we have disturbance number 4, which is not an invest yet, but this now has a 60% chance within the next 5 days to form, so it has increased. And then we have this right here. This wants to pop up. This has a 0% chance within the next coming days, and it's basically nothing. There's not really looking at that anymore, but really watching out for 92L right here, 91L right here, and maybe soon to be 93L right here, all possibly going to be posing a threat in this general square if they can go in here. So really watching out. If you're in the Caribbean, I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't start packing your bags or start evacuating or blah blah blah. I would just keep an eye on it. That's the best I can say. Keep an eye on it. I can't guarantee. If you ask me if you're going to get hit, I can't really give you a really precise answer because these haven't even formed yet, which means we don't really have a decisive and extremely good cone. But we do have the first coming tracks here, but those aren't the most accurate. But this is what we have so far in the National Hurricane Center. Really watching out if we can at least see Paulette really soon. So this is looking at Invest 92L. This is actually the one with the 80% chance. As you see, it looks pretty good for an invest here. Not too large, but it has a very well-defined center of convection here, right there. So it's decent. It actually looks pretty good for an invest. It's right here. So as you see, it's pretty far in the ocean now, but it's definitely gotten its act together lately. So it really has found a new center. So basically just really monitoring whether this could be something very interesting here. So really monitoring this. Obviously trying to get its app together. Convection is really blowing up, especially in the center, which is what you want to see in a tropical cyclone, a incoming tropical system here, or at least a tropical low. And this is kind of what we're seeing here with 92L, which is probably why they officially made an invest, because it became to the point where it's organized enough to have one. On the other hand, this is Invest 91L. This thing really, it looks super bad today, but it seems like it's trying to get some convection here. It may be going through a normal phase. Obviously, Invest don't look pitch perfect, not even close to perfect, but this one's trying to possibly find a new center, just like what Invest 92L did. 92L, it was kind of falling apart, and then it kind of regained convection in a new center. So this could be the beginning phase. I know it doesn't look that good at all, but this is an invest. Remember, not going to be impressive at all. 92L does look pretty good, not size wise, pretty small, but it does have that convection, which we do have. But as you see, this is exactly where we have the convection here. Seems that the low pressure is more to the north right here. Seems like the low pressure is actually north of this convection here. You kind of see with that vorticity there. But yeah, this is what we have for our both invest here, convection and imagery wise. We will be taking a look at the SSTs now, as obviously, as we begin the peak of the season, which is in the next coming days, waters will be at their warmest and at their most widespread, which is why September is the peak. So this is exactly what we're monitoring. If we're going to be seeing 3 disturbances in the MDR, that's pretty concerning, because obviously that means there's going to be some favorable conditions that lie ahead for these to possibly form. But as you see, we're really seeing these waters in the equatorial Atlantic and the MDR off South America coast are really warming up. We have 30 degrees Celsius and waters now popping up, and they're continuously starting to spread closer and closer to where these low pressures are. We now have 28 degrees Celsius becoming more widespread in the middle of the MDR. Starting to see some more widespread 28.5 degrees Celsius off Africa. But really, the big threat is, it's not where the MDR is. This isn't really the threat of water. Yeah, they may be warming up tad, but that's the big threat is outside the box, right here. This is where when the storms move to the western Atlantic, this is when they become big threats, because that's when they fuel. They have to fuel. Look, 31 degrees Celsius there, 31 degrees Celsius there, 31 degrees Celsius there. I mean, it's just a pattern. So, the waters that are becoming warm in the MDR will actually be a threat, because these invex and disturbances could form sooner, and that's going to even be a bigger threat, because that means if they're stronger going into the western Atlantic, they can be stronger. They be even double as strong or triple as strong with those really warm waters. But waters are definitely favorable ahead of these disturbances, because obviously all of these are moving west. They're all going to be heading this general direction. This is just a layout of where they can go, or where they will be going. So you see, they're going to be definitely heading in the next coming days into some warmer waters. Here's a look now at tracks at Invest 92L here. So as you see, this is actually the one that came off Africa, and it's actually made its way pretty far in the ocean since where it was placed yesterday. It's a pretty fast mover. As you see, actually GEFS, which actually tend to underestimate storms, already showed this possibly getting to 996 millibars, which means it will be named, obviously. 996 could actually even be a weak category 1. I'm just saying, this is actually has a chance definitely to possibly be a hurricane. It definitely has a possibility here. It just became an invest, so really this could be completely off strength-wise and track-wise. But the fact that this just became an invest, and already we have some models getting this below 980 millibars, even sub 970 millibars already, it's pretty impressive. But obviously, there's only a couple out of the many models showing that. But as you see, the black line's basically the average out of all these models. And as you see, it kind of goes like a weird. These invest 91 and 92 are going to be taking some weird looking tracks. And you see, it's going to be like going due north and due west, then like due south for a little bit, then there's like a little loop, and then going straight up north. So based on this, it will be going out to sea. We do have a couple models trying to it's going to kind of do this and then go like that. So we do have a couple models kind of gearing this towards the western Atlantic, which means it'll be impacting land. Only one model shows this becoming a tropical storm, and that's in 144 hours. Even borderline tropical storm in 72 hours. But obviously, these aren't that accurate at all. I always tell people when the first tracks, the first intensity, they're almost never accurate, because it's when it first becomes an invest, so you rarely have any information on it. So it really is kind of hard to tell the track and intensity guidance, especially this far out. Tracks wise, like I said, this is actually a weird looking track. This is actually for 91L. It's gonna do some weird looking due west turn. It's gonna if this red model AVNI actually happens, that'll be some weird looking turn. I mean, look at that. It's gonna be going straight back for Africa. He's like, nope, I'm going back to my home. Obviously, it'd be really weird if it actually does this turn, because that'll be extremely weird. And then it goes like this. That'll be one of the weirdest tracks I've actually ever seen. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's really been over dramatic on that turn, but I see a lot of the models are gearing this to a northern turn now, like a due north turn, or at least a northeast turn. So it's going to kind of go straight like that. That's really weird. But like I said, they're really weird tracks. They really are weird tracks. But intensity, guys, this actually has been an invest twice as long. This has actually been an invest for at least 24 hours. So not saying the intensity is more accurate, or it kind of is more accurate than if it were to come out just now. But we're gonna have more models on tracking this. So the more models, the better the picture is. At least a little bit more accurate. But as you see, we have 3 models getting this to a tropical storm and 1 model up to a hurricane. Like I said, this could definitely be a hurricane, especially if they're going to do those weird looking tracks like this. That means you're going to be in waters warmer. They may not be the warmest waters, but they will be sustainable for a tropical cyclone. Models get this as a tropical storm as early as the next 48 hours or as late as 108 hours. So that's exactly why we have that increase in the next 48 hours to a 40% chance. In 5 days to an 80% chance. So it's basically going to form in the next 5 days. It's a very high chance for this to form in the next 5 days, basically. And then we have one model, the AVNI, getting this to a hurricane in around 4 or 5 days. Here's looking at the probability here in the next 48-hour period. And actually here, this is what we have here for the NCEP and CMC together. And you see they do have a 70 to an 80% chance here for formation in this general area. This isn't for a specific invest or system. It's just saying this general area, we have a 70 to an 80% chance for development in the next 48 hours. That could be soon to be 93L. That could be 92L. You know, it could be either of those that can form 48 hours. But based on this, we have a 70 to 80% chance. I know the National Hurricane Center doesn't have that. This is the National Hurricane Center. This is basically their own thing. This is not really trying to copy the National Hurricane Center, really. I know National Hurricane Center doesn't have 70 to 80% chance in 5 days or in 48 hours, but this is what this general site has. And obviously, the National Hurricane Center actually has to update in around less than an hour and 20 minutes. And then we have this other blob. This is going to be most likely for 91L because 91L is in the middle of the MDR. We all know that. So this is going to be more related towards 92L or 91L, sorry. And this actually has a 50 to a 60% chance for development within the next 48 hours. So basically a medium risk or a medium chance for forming. Let's take a look at the GFS. This is the new 18Z, and as you see, they do have 90. I believe this is actually 91L at 1,010 millibars, and then honestly, it's kind of hard to keep track since they're so close together. But it seems like this one right here is the one with a 60% chance. That they're showing GFS that at 1,004 millibars. And 60 hours. So that's exactly where we have a 60% chance for 5 days. And they showed that getting up to 999 millibars, 997, 989, 990, 985, 982, 980. And look, it's just some weird looking loop. I mean, these are some weird tracks, guys. I mean, it looks like it's heading straight for Portugal. And he's like, no, I don't want you. So he's going to go like that. I mean, these are some weird looking tracks. I mean, 91L, 92L, and then soon to be 93L. They're all looking like they're going to do some weird tracks. Like, look at this. It's kind of do like a little stalling move. I believe this is going to be 92L. And then it just, I don't even know how to explain this. But, I mean, this is some weird. This is actually, I've actually never seen a track that do this. Like a weird, I've never seen a loop happen that far north in the Atlantic. Or that general area, the northeastern Atlantic. You rarely see any loops there. I mean, if they're going that way, they're going that way. But you rarely even see storms go directly this way. Usually, like obviously after they kind of form, they go like this. But like this close to Africa, this far in the eastern Atlantic, that doesn't really happen too often. But like I said, definitely 2020, so anything can happen. Let's check out the GFS for humidity, which they're very good at. This is showing that tropical wave coming off Africa. This is going to provide a lot of moisture and a welcoming home for these disturbances in the Atlantic. Dryers, not really welcoming, so they're kind of protecting this low pressures. And it seems like we got a major, huge wave of just tropical moisture moving more to the north. That's going to provide a more favorable atmosphere for a larger area, which is going to make it a better chance for these storms to actually form. And I see they're going to seem like they're going to develop their own moisture bubbles. It looks like 92L has that. Seems like soon to be 93L will have that. They're going to go back to back systems that are going to be seeing basically almost the same condition. But it seems like at any moment these storms could possibly form, and it seems like the one with these 60% chance actually has a pretty good, based on the GFS, has a good chance to thrive, because 92L is ahead of this, so it's going to be going to interact with that dryer first, and that's going to help build a atmosphere of just pure moisture, because if the dryer got into 92L, it's going to really just going to provide more moisture, and that's going to push that moisture from 92L back to the west or east, which is going to go, that's exactly where 93L will be. And that's exactly why they do show 93L thriving so much. And then they kind of like, look at that, it's completely surrounded by dry air. But if it has a moisture bubble like that, surprisingly, it could survive. Shear is obviously an issue, and obviously we're actually kind of lucky that these disturbances were actually came further north than so far this year. We've had a lot of disturbances come off like this way, but now they're all actually up to the north right here. That's actually very lucky, because we do have a little open area of basically very little shear here. That's actually very, very lucky for that to actually happen. Obviously, shear is another issue, but it seems like there's gonna be it's gonna be wrapped around by shear. But the closer to the low pressure, the smaller the amount of shear is. So you see in this scenario, we have less than 30 knots. We've seen a couple systems this year survive that, and then it seems like 93L thrives because it has a huge open window where that low pressure is. Yeah, there's a ton of shear to the north, but that actually might help provide more conditions for the next coming days after these storms off Africa and the MDO, which could lead to possibly concern if we do have a monsoon coming off at that same time. That could lead to some huge concerns. If a low pressure does come off like this, that could be pretty concerning. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and bye guys.